goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a returning guest with us, Jeffrey Wilson. Jeffrey is the president and CEO of Precipitate Gold Corp, which can be traded as PRG on the TSX Venture. It's a gold company that has district-scale strategic land positions in the Dominican Republic, which we know is Barrick's one of the largest gold mine in South America, is in Dominican Republic. It's one of the most exciting areas, and thank you, Jeffrey, for being here with us today and for giving us an update on this exciting junior gold company.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the opportunity. As always, it's a pleasure to speak with you.
You know, looking at junior gold miners, for myself, investing in this sector for almost 20 years, I like to look for where the majors are operating, and especially where the majors are helping support some of these junior gold miners and giving some third-party validity. I'd like to highlight Precipitate Gold and some of the recent news and developments that you've had with Barrick Gold, which is, of course, everyone knows, is the largest publicly traded gold mining company.
Yeah, we've been fortunate in that, we knew, part of our MO here as a junior exploration company focused on discovery is, you need to know what the majors or the mid-tier companies or the producers are looking for. And so you need to tick the boxes before you go in and spend a bunch of money and get, partway down a path and then realize, the majors aren't interested. So for us, that's part of our initial due diligence process before we make any acquisition is, what's the geology, what's the location, and if we were fortunate enough in this very high risk business of exploration to find and delineate, a meaningful discovery or resource, is it likely that a major mining company could or would be interested in coming in? And so a jurisdiction like the Dominican Republic, although somewhat, unfamiliar for a lot of mining investors because there's not a lot of companies operating there, is a jurisdiction that is incredibly well endowed with mineral wealth, gold, copper, silver, and others, but also does have, one of the largest gold mining operations in the world operating there. And as you mentioned, that's being operated by Barrick, actually in a joint venture with Newmont. And so you've got two, major mining companies operating there. And as this market starts to shift into a more robust gold sector and precious metals sector, it's often quite common that the majors at these tipping points start to shift from, focusing on margins and bottom lines to starting to focus on growth. And I think we're coming into a stage here in our sector where after some pretty lean years in the mining space, I think you're seeing now majors looking at exploration. And because they haven't been doing that themselves in order to keep their balance sheet looking strong, you're starting now for them to look, quite actively at, where is there more supply? Where can we expand? Where can we find growth? And so for us, being in jurisdictions where they're already located and, advancing projects to a point where we could potentially make some new discoveries, we think has the potential to attract the likes of Barrick and other major companies.
Well, as a junior mining investor, it's great to see, that third-party validity that's coming into the company, and where you have that, you have now a 12% equity position with Barrick. You also have a 19.9% with Strategic Metals. And you're exploring, you have a strategic land position surrounding, adjoining the Barrick's Pueblo Viejo mine. And for investors to understand the significance of this is the largest active gold mining operation in Latin America, over 13 million ounces of gold. And Jeffrey, if I'm correct, Barrick's announced a major investment and upgrade to that project. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, this speaks to what I was just talking about with respect to growth and expansion. And I think, you look at an operation like the Pueblo Viejo, and Barrick their initial infrastructure investment was about 4.5 billion with a B dollars into getting that up and running and operational. And they've recently announced in the last 12 months, they've announced the plan to inject an additional $1 billion into expansion and growth. So to our point, I think that this is a world-class deposit that's only getting bigger. And because we had joined them with our Pueblo Grande project, essentially on three sides, this is a land package that I think Barrick saw as being vital to test, at least, for the potential for additional mineralization to feed into that operation.
Well, it's not easy to find junior miners that has Barrick earning into their property. Am I correct about that, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you're talking about, as you pointed out, one of the largest, publicly traded gold mining companies on the planet. And certainly there's no shortage of junior companies that would like that validation and would like to have that involvement from, such a senior company. So for us to have acquired this land package, approximately 24 months ago, from a sort of a fledgling junior company that had it before us, and we picked it up for $25,000 cash and 7 million shares of Precipitate, a total value of about $350,000. And inside of 18 to 24 months, we turned that into a $10 million earn-in agreement with Barrick that includes not only the $10 million in expenses to be spent by Barrick in exploration, but also, as you mentioned, what equates to about a $1.4 million Canadian investment into our company. And so we have them as operators of our project, spending significant amount of capital to advance the project. We have them as a significant shareholder, which carries a lot of weight not only in the market, but certainly in the Dominican Republic, where they're a critical part of the economy. And this is now work that's being done on our project by I would argue a company that has the technical expertise and knowledge of this region, as good or better than anybody else. So we're getting some of the best expertise, deep pockets, and a company that has a desire to try to find more ounces in the ground that ultimately they can earn an interest in. If Barrick fulfills the earn-in obligation, we would have a carried 30% interest. Barrick would have 70. And what I really like about our deal is that if we get to that point where they've spent the 10 million and they've earned their 70%, we have the right to request that Barrick covers our 30% of all operation or development costs. So we're not having to go out of pocket to participate if, in fact, they find something meaningful down the road. So we think it's a well-structured deal, and we're very, very happy to have Barrick as partners.
And Barrick and Newmont in this Pueblo Viejo project is well known in the Dominican Republic. It's the single largest contributor to the Dominican Republic economy. And if I'm correct, I saw recent news that the Dominican Republic has labeled gold mining a essential industry for the future of the economy.
Yes, I mean, I think what's playing favorably or playing into our favor here is that obviously in the unfortunate realities that COVID-19 has sort of imposed on the planet and certainly on global economies, the Dominican Republic is a country that has been very heavily reliant upon tourism. And so tourism obviously is taking a significant hit right now. And as countries like the Dominican Republic, start to plan on sort of the recovery or sort of the future going forward economically, the Dominican government has recognized the importance and quite publicly stated the importance of mining, and specifically precious metals mining, as a lifeline for the economy coming out of COVID-19. So we think that sort of supports the fact that not only do we believe we're already in a viable jurisdiction, but we think the outlook going forward has the potential to get just that much better with government support with regards to things like permitting and sort of expediting the processes to allow and permit companies like Precipitate Gold to advance projects rapidly in creating jobs and paying taxes and identifying deposits that can become mines and have a real long-term positive impact on the economy.
So there was recently news that Barrick is starting to work on the property. Could you update us on the property? Uh, what's going on currently?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very encouraging for us that we've been able to make that announcement. That was just this morning, that they've commenced or commencing work on the ground. There was a bit of a delay there because of the COVID-19 restrictions, and we were dealing with the same issues ourselves in the Dominican Republic. But those have eased to a point now where Barrick is able to commence work on the ground. You know, there had been some concern from some of our shareholders or from the market that, you know, anytime you get into an arrangement or a deal like this with a major mining company, that, you know, they tend to move slowly and act slowly, and oftentimes, you know, news flow is limited and work progression is limited. So I think this is a really positive sort of confirmation or affirmation that Barrick is serious about this deal, and for them to commence, you know, sort of boots on the ground, and more specifically talking about a near-term drill program of up to 25 or more, or 2,500 meters or more in drilling, focused within an area that we had sort of highlighted as a key priority, I think is significant to our shareholder base in seeing that some of what we believe were some of the best target areas get tested early and hopefully generate some results for our shareholders here in the coming months. You know, I think that it supports part of the argument that we made when we made this deal. For anyone who wasn't sure, you know, how serious or keen Barrick was going to be, you know, we pointed to the fact that, look, to spend $10 million US in the Dominican Republic in exploration is no easy task. I mean, your dollars go a long way there. Barrick is already located in country and has an operation right next door. So, you know, spending that kind of money in that amount of time is a tall order, and to get this to a pre-feasibility stage is required in order for them to earn their 70%. So they're acting swiftly here, and in the near term, there's an obligation for Barrick to spend $2 million in exploration within the first 2 years of the earn-in agreement. So we're already about a quarter into that. So I think they're going to be diligent and active, and I hope that leads to steady news flow for us here going forward.
And really, why Barrick, in my opinion, is so interested in Precipitate is because you have that team together, that technical team that specializes in new projects and generating new projects and discovery driven. Talk to us about your team that gets deals done with companies like Barrick, that gets them to the table, and some of the other early stage projects that you just have recently announced, and what gets you excited about opening up other 100% owned Precipitate projects in Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Yeah, those are key points, I think. And so, first and foremost, I think it's worth pointing out that the ground that we hold next to Barrick, you know, obviously has been there forever, but it had been held by previous companies, previous operators over the course of the last 10 years, and certainly the entire tenure that Barrick has been there, and no deal with Barrick was ever struck. So I think that speaks to, you know, as a testament to our team, to your point, that you know, we were able to go in there and acquire this ground and do meaningful technical work in a relatively short amount of time, advance a number of regions of the project to a drill stage, and you know, suddenly Barrick took some interest, and we were able to negotiate this deal. You know, our team is made up of, you know, largely technical or geological background individuals. You know, the key personnel is Michael Moore, who's the Vice President of Exploration. You know, Michael's our boots on the ground head of all programs and operations, and has been sort of critical here in advancing the targets I just discussed, and I would say generating the interest that came from Barrick. On the board level, we've got Quinton Henning, who a lot of people will know from his involvement with companies like Novo Resources, Lion One, Irving, and a number of other exploration stories that have been very successful for investors. We get a great deal of technical expertise from Quinton. Alistair Waddell is also on the board of directors. Alistair has operated as a geologist with other companies in the Dominican Republic for many, many years himself, knows the geology, knows the politics, knows the players very well. And actually, Alistair was a large proponent of going after this piece of ground next to Barrick. And to his credit, it turned out to be a very significant value driver for the company. Adrian Fleming, also a geologist, is our chairman. Adrian's been involved with a number of discovery stories that have gone on to be takeouts or buyouts by mid-tier and major companies, including a company called Underworld that was bought by Kinross, and more recently Northern Empire that was bought by Coeur Mining in recent years. And Lon Shaver is on the board as well. And Lon is currently a VP at Silvercorp, but is a former investment banker and provides for us a great deal of capital markets expertise. So I think we've got a really nice, well-rounded board and management team. And so I think what I will point out as we talk, is you asked a little bit about other projects, that I think was the team that helped put together the package that was attractive to Barrick. What we, however, are not is we're not a classic, typical project generator, whereby our MO is to acquire something very early stage and very rapidly try to find a partner or JV interest to sort of spend the money to do the work. Our MO typically is we want to acquire projects that we think have potential for discovery, and we want to spend our own money drilling those projects ourselves so that we can reap the benefits of a discovery story, and where you get that real leverage in share price valuation. In the case of Pueblo Grande, I think the circumstances were such that the potential deal with Barrick was just so compelling that we shifted our strategy a little bit there to accommodate and get them in and get the big budget spent by the big partner. But we very, very quickly recognized we've got to have other things that we can plow ahead with 100% ourselves. And so Barrick was interested in including a project of ours called Ponton into their earn-in, and we elected to keep that ourselves. Now, it's about 25 kilometers away from where they're working at our Pueblo Grande and their Pueblo Viejo mine. And this is a project that has some prior work, has a very compelling geochemical target, gold geochemical target on it that had been delineated by previous operators. But it had largely, again, been overlooked and never been drilled, and not far different from what we did with Pueblo Grande. We were able to go in, take a look at the historic data with new eyes, and have very rapidly here over the course of the last couple of months and since doing the deal with Barrick, have advanced that project largely with desktop data review and delineated a pretty compelling, what looks like a compelling epithermal target that's moving towards drilling. We are going to do some groundwork there. We've initiated some geochemical or soil sampling that's going on right now, and we'll delineate some sampling from that. We then plan to do some mapping and some magnetic surveying, geophysical surveying, to sort of tighten up targets there. But the hope is that is a project in the same belt of rocks as where Barrick is currently working, just down the road, that could be drill ready inside of the next several months. And as you know, we own our own drilling equipment. We've purchased drill rig equipment here in the last 6 or 8 months, and that will allow us to deploy drills to that project at whatever point in time we're ready and fully permitted, and we'll be able to test that quite efficiently, given the reduced drill cost and access to our own drills, rather than sort of racing through to get drilling done because you're on the clock with a contractor. So that's kind of going to become our near-term focus while Barrick is operating and working and generating results at Pueblo Grande. We are looking to get our Ponton project to a drill stage here as rapidly as possible.
And with the gold market, where we're seeing in U.S. dollar terms that we're plus 1,700 plus, possibly going into new all-time highs, this is, you mentioned in your last statement that you have up to 5 man-portable drill rigs, an experienced in-country crew in Dominican Republic, 3 projects, 100% owned, and an agreement with Barrick Gold. From a technical, from the stock perspective, looks very encouraging. You're building a nice base. 50-day looks like it's about to cross the 200-day to the upside. Is there anything else that you'd like to conclude, Jeff, before we end the interview?
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I'll touch on is just one other project that we didn't mention, which is called our Wanda Herrera. And again, it's in the Dominican Republic. It's adjacent to a significant mineral deposit owned by a company called Gold Quest in a region that's, maybe not as mining familiar, in a region of the Dominican Republic, but where there's a strong probability here over the coming months where Gold Quest is granted an exploitation permit there to be able to advance that sort of 3 million ounce or so gold equivalent resource of theirs through development. And I think that, again, is a bit of an optionality play for us, given that we've got a significant amount of ground next to them there. And we've got a number of targets. We're fully permitted, and it's an area where we could get active again very quickly as well. So we think we're very well positioned within the country, as you say, 3 projects, and we're cashed up now with about $2.3 million in the treasury, totally discretionary and ready to go. So we're entering into what could be a pretty exciting time here for Precipitate and the sector in general.
To get more information, you can go to precipitategold.com. You can also call their toll-free number, 855-558-0335. And you can also email Jeffrey Wilson, the CEO, for further questions or for further due diligence at jwilson@precipitategold.com. Thank you, Jeffrey, for being here with us today and for giving us an update on some exciting news and developments with Precipitate Gold, which can be traded as PRG on the TSX Venture.
It's been a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks as always.